In today's video, we're going to talk about two simple words that actually hold very much incredible power if you think about it, and that is unconditional love. It already highlights in those words what it actually means. I could actually just end the video right now. It's love without condition, meaning I simply love someone for who they are, without expecting anything in return, without even thinking about what they can provide for me. I do not want anything from them, just the fact alone to be with them, to spend time with someone that I find incredibly attractive, that I find myself inside of them. I can see myself in them. And she hopefully can see herself in me, the other half. An energy exchange, basically, that makes it possible for two to come together and unite to be in a union, to completely forget the external world, all the worries all around, and deepening that connection over time to a level that most people on this planet absolutely cannot understand. Because you have to keep in mind, most people do not come from functional family dynamics. They come actually out of disastrous, destructive family relationships where no one in that family dynamic, in that system, experienced love to begin with. They have no clue what love means. The parents, for example, themselves didn't receive love. And by not fixing themselves over time, they actually have many decades time to do something. But most people decide not to do anything because adults, after all, they think they do not have to learn anything anymore. They do not have to deepen the connection with themselves. So the internal work. Most people actually prefer to look for validation outside. They need constant validation, constantly their mind being occupied 24/7 in order to run away from problems they do not want to face. Because those problems are too much to deal with. That I've explained in many of my videos that you can watch if you're interested in that. Unconditional love to people who never experienced real love, that is like a joke to them. They have no clue what that actually means, feels, they can't comprehend it because they're not able to perceive it and process it. To such people, unconditional love most likely feels like a joke. They can take advantage of someone because they probably think that that individual is naive, is too dumb even. How can you think of someone being dumb for loving another? To be able to love someone simply means you are vulnerable. You have no guards up, nothing. You allow the other one basically to destroy you. You trust in them not doing it. You expect only love back, attention, affection, happiness, joy together. That's all what you want, nothing else. Everything else, money, security, materialistic stuff, societal status, you name it, that's all just a bonus, nothing else. You do not anticipate anything in return. You just want your person to be happy with you. That's all. That is unconditional love without any conditions. In disastrous family dynamics, everything is about conditions. Because you have to work, you have to function after all. Because the family might rely on you. Your parents might rely on you. Everyone in that family, the uncles, the aunts, they are all, while in fact fighting with each other, still relying on each other. The hatred, envy, and jealousy that I've also described in many of my videos, that's hidden, that's below the radar. You have to be of exceptional caliber to even understand it. Most people never understand what's actually going on in their own family until it boils up to such a degree that it simply explodes and the entire family dynamic is destroyed. The family is destroyed and it's someone else's fault, not their own, of course. They have been running away probably for decades from those problems, internal problems and external problems. They only love under conditions. What can I get out of someone? What can I expect from someone if they do A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Huh? And if people in that dynamic do not work, there is no affection, there is no attention, there is nothing. First, it's the family, the parents, the siblings, the aunts and uncles and whatnot, the first structure of security of a human being, because you are born into a family. You cannot choose your family. You can choose your friends. You can choose your lover. You can't choose your family. You're born into it. These dynamics in such families, for example, never experience love once again. They cannot provide love to an individual if they themselves never experienced that, never thought about it, never thought about maybe fixing certain internal problems. That's why you have the memes and pictures and little reels that you can see that someone who never experienced love wants to create a family where love is fully present to begin with, because they themselves, one more time, never experienced that, but were brave enough, mature enough to understand the struggle as a child, internalized it, and fixed it over time, that most people run away from. Therefore, fully understanding the concept of love, even though they were never loved to begin with. People who do not do the internal fixing problem, they tend to avoid love. They maybe play only to love someone. Basically like mimicry. The moment it gets closer and closer, the bond gets deeper and deeper, they start to run away because the feelings overwhelm such people. That's something new. They've never experienced that. That's why there's also so much jealousy around in relationships. Hence, you should never fully talk to strangers, even to certain friends, about certain problems that you eventually might have in your relationship, marriage, and whatnot. Because these people very much will be envious and jealous over time. You can clearly see that with women, the moment when they start to talk about their own relationship and how great everything is, you can see the envy, the jealousy in the other people. And they will try to give their opinion, their unasked opinion. No one asked for it, yet they still do, because they do not want to see such people succeed in life, especially relationships, money related, whatnot, because they themselves can't experience that. Unconditional love, once again, to such people feels strange. To the surroundings, it doesn't make sense. The love, in their eyes, that is weird, there's something different. It doesn't follow the norm, the standards that everyone else is experiencing. Meaning, there's not so much arguing around, there's not so much problems present, nothing. Everything gets quickly fixed and resolved. There's immense joy, happiness. Time simply flies by. Yes, there are, of course, arguments, but not to the caliber of what most people experience. There's just maybe a little misunderstanding, and that's all. Therefore, you should never look for advice to most people if those most people never experienced real love, and most people is the minimum of 51% for all the stupid people out there who do not understand words or numbers. It's minimum 51%. It could very well be that 70% of the people on the planet absolutely do not understand what real love actually is. Everyone craves that. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants to experience that. Everyone wants to highlight that to the external world, to the internet, to show how great of love they have, their life, their future is. In most cases, though, it's far from the truth, because these people absolutely do not understand what real love is. How can they when they come out of dysfunctional family dynamics? It's impossible for such people. They most likely run away from it. They most likely try to sabotage everything. Because certain characteristics in that dynamic do not make sense to these people. They are anticipating arguments, they are anticipating bad behavior, or no behavior, no response at all. No response is also a response. In such events, everything is completely different. Once again, that's why they are so confused. Such people, once they encounter someone being able to present such kind of love, it is something completely different, something they have never experienced. And if someone like that, a woman, a man, experiences that, and is mature enough to understand what's going on, they absolutely will cherish that. Their life will transform to the better. And the surroundings, family, the friends, the workplace, most likely will hate on that, because they do not have that, and probably never will, because people are not interested in working on themselves. That is a trait of strong people. Weak people all the time run away from their problems, want to be occupied 24/7. Their mind, basically, in order to not think about themselves. They can't sit still in their room on the weekends for several weeks on end. They feel insecure on the inside. They feel restless. They all the time need to do something. They all the time need to drink. They all the time need to smoke. They all the time need to party. But everyone craves that magic love, because it is something that actually everyone deserves. Unfortunately, though, most people do not do the inner work. Once again, I've mentioned it quite a few times. That's actually like a red line throughout all of my videos. You need to know who you are in order to function properly and move accordingly in this realm. To gather as much information as possible so you can do the correct moves and not be manipulated by bastards and jealous people all around you who absolutely do not have your best of interest. They might smile in your face, they might fake generosity and whatnot. In the end, though, something is very, very wrong, and they want to see that destroyed. Just like that. Because they themselves can't have it. And will never have it. Subconsciously, they eventually know that. After all, the subconscious plays and rules the game, not the conscious part. The conscious part, what most say, is just like about 10%. Otherwise, we would have a lot of multimillionaires. We would have a lot of successful people, happy people. Everyone would be happy. The world would be a complete different place in just a single week. The subconscious runs the show. The subconscious dictates what you do after you're waking up, your daily habits, your thought patterns, how you react to something, how you walk through life. That's all the subconscious that people consciously not realize. They can't, because they don't focus on themselves. It's painful, and therefore, by not understanding themselves, they can't understand the concept of love. They can't understand to give someone love without expecting anything in return, which unconditional love simply is. You love, one more time, without conditions. You love someone for who they are. They can't. They do not have to provide anything for you. You just love that girl. You just love that boy. Yeah? No conditions. There's someone completely different appearing. Yeah? And that individual provides that unconditional love. And someone else never received it from no one in their entire family, from no one of their friend circle. If you have someone like that, do not take that for granted. Absolutely cherish that. Eventually ask yourself if certain problems occur, or for example, your perception of that individual starts to change. I don't know what might be in the head of most people. For example, for a woman, a guy with high standards, they might perceive him over time as boring. The moment you start to think like that, question yourself, why is that? Most likely something is actually not working with you and not with him. Why is he suddenly out of nowhere boring? That probably means you have to fix something on your end. You need to sit still in your room and think about yourself. People don't want to do that. People rather run throughout life, creating problems everywhere, and complaining and crying, basically pity themselves. How much time later on they have wasted because their realization kicks in later. Then to actually fix it, stand for yourself, voice yourself in that very moment, in that oppression. And use that time on the weekends to simply sit still, listen to some music, turn off the music later on, and think for 1 or 2 hours about yourself, your life, your spouse, your friends, whatnot. Are they good for you? Do they have the best of interest? Or not? And if not, act accordingly. If you are the one all the time initiating contact and they barely write something, cut them off. Give them a time limit, 1 year. If you do not hear anything after 1 year, cut them off. That's it. You might hear eventually something 2 years later. What's wrong? Why did you delete me? What not? No response. You have given time. You have initiated something. They might have replied back, but what they have replied back, the quality of it, led to no further discussion. The same goes with friends that you meet physically. The quality time spent, is it quality or is it just quantity? You should always go quality over quantity. No? Not the other way around. The same with the family dynamic. Who is good for you and who is not? How do you feel about your spouse? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can be absolutely yourself or not? Do you have to hide something or not? What if you, for example, revealed certain parts of yourself to that individual? How did they react? Did they give you constructive criticism? Did they help you overcome problems? Or were they just arguing with you? Major differences. You need to fine tune every aspect. And for that, you need to have situational awareness of your surroundings and yourself, the internal aspects, in order to understand, once again, what unconditional love is. To be able to cherish that, to be able to not take that for granted, because love on this earth right now, this is very, very rare. Mostly it's temporary bullshit. Swipe right and get the next one. 15 years plus. That's legendary in today's time. So, once again, do not take anything for granted. Actually, you should take nothing granted for life. Work on yourself. Question yourself once the perception changes for your friends, changes for your spouse out of nowhere. And start to fix yourself. Start to ask questions about yourself. And you will realize over time that most people only act on temporary emotions, destroying everything later on for life. Everything's actually still fixable, but it might take incredible effort, incredible amount of time in order to gain trust back, whatever the case it is. But people do not want to do that because it's painful. No? Just like looking inside, it's painful. Fixing a problem because they acted on temporary nonsense. The problem is too much, it hurts. They do not want to take on responsibility for their actions. They want to run away from that. Because they don't understand the concept of unconditional love. Love means I am fully vulnerable to you. For example, to that girl. And if you're a woman, you are vulnerable to that man. You trust that they will not destroy you. And you are strong enough to allow that to even happen. The concept of it to happen. But of course, no one wants that. But you open yourself up to this idea. And therefore, by risking everything, you might be able to gain everything. Have the courage to be yourself.